Taking these first couple of minutes to arrive in your body and just noticing how it feels to be in your body this morning and honouring that. So when you look in and scan the body, if you have an area maybe feels a little tight or it's aching, being a little bit more gentle with that area, going in a bit more softly. And using how you feel to gauge the practice. Are you hanging back? Are you just enjoying the breath? Or are you going to challenge yourself, really lean in towards that edge of opening? So nice deep breaths in, maybe for the count of 4 or 5. Long breaths out, just the same. So count your own breath in, count your own breath out. Really focusing your mind solely on the breath, on the movement of the breath, the length of the breath. And this can be really challenging, especially at the beginning of the practice, just to sit down and look inwards. So that's okay. If it's difficult, just acknowledge that. And then when you're ready, beginning to blink the eyes open, and we'll begin with toes. So in toes, we're stretching through the toes, the feet. So you can start on all fours and tuck the toes underneath. So you're trying to get all 10 toes tucked under. If you've got a couple that won't go, that's okay. And then sitting back. So if this isn't possible for knees, you can put cushions in between, or you can be here just pushing back into the toes. And if possible, you're coming to sit all the way up, beginning at the fascia at the very base of the body. So if you need the hands on the floor to support, that's fine. Keep them on the floor. If you don't have the hands on the floor, you can sweep your arms up in the air, reaching up. And as you exhale, just turning to one side. Hand comes down towards the leg, the heel, just taking a little twist, breathing in. Breathing out, really good. Lift the arms up, inhale, exhale. A little bit of discomfort in the toes, that's normal, it shouldn't be painful. Breathing in, breathing out, really nice. Inhale, coming forwards, you're going to interlace the hands, the fingers pushing the hands forwards, round the back, relax the chin down. And then reaching the hands all the way up, push up through the palms, breathing in, breathing out, really good. And then just coming over to one side, lifting up through the center, really reach up through the hands, over to the other side, really good. Probably feeling quite a lot in the toes now. It's all right, it's over. You can release the feet. And either be still, or if you want, you can take a little tap out through the feet. So shins, they're very originally named. I don't name these. So feet are flat and you're sitting back on your heels. So we're stretching through top of the feet, front of the ankles, and the muscles at the front of the shins. So you could be here, you can lean back. It should not stretch the knee, aggravate the knee. You could have your hands behind you for support. You can make it into a little balance, just rest the hands on the knees if you want. Really good. Wherever you need to be. And this, for some people, this will be more than enough, simply here. Really good. Follow the breath in. Breathing in deeply and follow the breath out. Really lovely way to help stretching of the legs and the hips, getting into the feet first. If you haven't, probably some of you have lacrosse balls you can roller with or like do trigger points with. It's really nice. You can do those on your feet before you do any hamstring stretches, anything like that. It'll make a really big difference. Really good. You've got a couple more breaths. Breathing in, not too long here. Breathing out. And then when you're ready, just coming forwards, releasing the legs. You can tuck the toes, push one heel back, really stretching into that calf muscle. It's easiest when you've got a mat. It can be a bit slippy sometimes on the carpet. Really good. And then you can change, coming into the other side, tucking the toes, pushing back through the heels, stretch through the calf muscle. Tummy's gently pulled in to support the lower back. Really good. And so we'll come to seated. So I think we did this quite a few weeks ago, actually, and we're finding the urinary bladder line that runs up the back of the leg, but this point underneath sort of the insertion of the calf muscle, actually, yeah, these leggings, it's probably like just underneath, yeah, where the line of my legging is here. So if you take your thumbs to the back of your leg and just push them up the middle, massaging up the middle, and you can do it a couple of times, pushing the thumbs quite firmly into the back of the leg, and then when you get under sort of the big calf muscle, you push in and up, and that's urinary bladder point. I always said it was 1, but that is not correct. It's actually number 7. Breathing in, but it's really great to help release through the plantar fascia, through the Achilles tendon. So if you walk a lot, run a lot, you can get a really nice release through the foot here. So it should feel quite tender. So if not, keep having a little poke around with the thumbs. You might push in, take a deep breath. Deep breath out, really good. And then when you're ready, you can release. Release, just let the foot move around a little bit. The floor, and then we'll come into the other side. So taking the thumbs to the back of the leg, just massaging up that line. Really good. And then on the next one, bringing those thumbs up, coming up underneath the calf muscle. If you don't find it, give me a wave. Make sure it's basically in under here, about 2/3 up the leg. Really good. So you can push in and hold. You can just gently rub into that point. Take a few deep breaths, just allowing those long exhalations to release the tension around that point. Bring your awareness to that point. And then when you're ready, you can release. So we're going to come up to dangle. If you have very low blood pressure, or when you come into it, it just doesn't feel right, you could come to this position, feet fairly close together, knees bent. So this is the seated option. If hanging upside down doesn't work for you. So if you've just eaten a big breakfast or something, I would sit rather than folding upside down. Otherwise you'll probably get heartburn. It won't feel very nice. Your feet are quite wide apart, toes turned in. You need to bend the knees and rest your elbows on the knees. So this is option 1. Relax the head. If that feels really easy, you can always come back there, is hold the elbows and really dangle. And what you notice is the hinges, so my tummy is down towards the thighs, and that's important. As you straighten the legs, you don't want to end up in this position, so a big rounding from the waist. It's all from the hips. Really good. Relax the face, the jaw. I'm just going to start the timer. We're going to take another 2 minutes there. And so you feel it quite strongly in the backs of the legs. This is wonderful for the upper body as well. Really great to dangle the neck. Really great to turn ourselves upside down, come into an inversion. Lovely. And you might stay just as you are throughout. You might need to bend the knees more. If it's really too much, then you can always come up, come out of the pose. Really good. So you've got 1 more minute there, staying with your breath. Now, if you're feeling, feels good, feels quite easy on the legs, you could take the hands behind you, interlacing the hands and just hanging the arms over the head. So it's going to make it more intense on your legs. This is quite a big movement for the shoulder too, so it's optional. You know, with everything, when I give options, feel free to try them. And if they feel good, stay there. And if not, go back to where you were before. And keep trying it, keep looking, keep inquiring with the body. Is it possible today? How does it feel today? Lovely. You've got less than 30 seconds. Breathing in, really good. Breathing out. And then when you're ready, release the hands to the thighs. The knees are soft, push into the thighs, pull into the tummy, and very slowly begin coming up to stand. You're looking down to the floor whilst all the blood settles, and then slowly lifting the head up. Really good. So we're going to come down onto the mat. You're going to probably want a cushion under the knee. Let's say left leg behind. So you have your left leg behind and your right leg forwards in this lunge position, dragon. So you're leaning into that stretch. And this back hip, the left hip, is rolling forward. So you want to make sure that's falling over, that the hips are square to the front. Sometimes just moving it a little bit further forwards, you're going to feel more through the hip flexor. Hand could begin on the knee. Breathing in. Oh, the little ring toy, desperate to get in the shot. Really good. So you're welcome to stay here or come back to here throughout, or you can inhale, sweep those arms up. Really good. Exhale, reach the arms behind, interlacing the hands, maybe drawing the hands away from the body. Lovely. Breathing in. You are thinking about lifting the front of the hips up, so the tummy is slightly engaged to protect the back here, because it is a little bit of an extension through the spine. Still leaning in. It might get quite intense, so you can always come out. Really good. Pulling the hands away from the body if you can. Yes, really good. And then inhale, sweep those arms up. So we're taking it over towards the front legs. You're taking a nice side bend over. Some people's hands will come down onto the floor. Really good. Breathing in, breathing out. Feeling your way all in through the psoas muscle, through that left side of the body. Really good. This other knee stays just as it is. Really nice. You've got just another 5 breaths there. Breathing in slowly. Breathing in a relaxed, calm way, controlled way, really. And then as you inhale, coming up, exhale, the hands come down inside this front leg. I'm just going to move so you can see me, but that front leg stays as it is. So you might take the foot a little bit wider out now. And this might be enough, baby lizard. So we will begin here. We have another variation. All the variations are optional because you might be feeling more than enough. So as you settle in here, back knee down, you can lift the back knee as well. It just might make it a little bit harder when we do the next position. So from here, you're going to lift up the toes, so you're on the heel, and swivel that foot out to the side, so you come onto the outside edge of that right foot. So this might be enough. You can think about sending that knee out to the side. You can turn to that knee, the foot is flexed. Taking a few breaths there, breathing, and you might not want to put the hand on it, you might need both hands there for support. Breathing in, breathing out. From here, you could also actually come lower down, more intense the lower you come down to the floor. And it's really the target area, right, the side of the thigh, side of the hip, glute medius area. It's the whole area really around the side of that hip. You could turn towards the other side, turning the body away from that front leg, getting into the inner thigh a little bit there. Really just exploring the best way to get in and around your hip. Really nice, not long now. Finding your way to the center, so you can bring that foot back and send your hips back. So we're coming into our hamstring stretch. So the bend, there can be a little bend in the front knee. You can bring the foot between the hands now if you prefer. You could have some books or blocks to lift the floor up to your hands. And you're thinking about pulling that right thigh up into the hip, really drawing that thigh up into the hip. So it is active to begin with, to really set the alignment. Really nice. And then folding over the leg as much as you need to feel that hamstring. You think, I'm feeling enough where I am, then just stay there. Good, we've got 30 seconds to go. Breathing in. Breathing out. And so from there, drawing that foot back. So you've got a couple of options. You could just stay here. You could take a child's pose, or you can tuck the toes, taking a downward dog, walking out through the feet, the heels. It's just a neutral position, bringing balance to the spine, bringing balance to the legs. You've got a few more breaths, so maybe observing sensations in your right leg, sensations in your left leg, because I would imagine that they feel quite different now. One has been kind of ignored, just we haven't done it yet. And then when you're ready, we'll come into the other side. So your right leg is behind you, left leg is in front. I would say have a cushion under the knee, leaning those hips forwards and just thinking about squaring the hips, rolling that right hip forwards, finding that just right position. So when I say lean forwards, only as much as you need to begin to feel the front of this leg. Because we're going to be here for a little while, we've got lots of time. Really good, just as we did on the other side. Inhale, reaching up through the chest, lifting up through the front of the hips, and then maybe interlacing the hands behind you, pulling the hands away from the body. Really good. Breathing in, opening through the front of the hips, the chest, breathing out. Really good. Pulling the hands away from the body. One more breath. And then inhale, reaching those arms up. Exhale, taking it over to the other side now, over to that left leg. Nice little side bend. Breathing in. Breathing out. Really good. Breathe into the stretch. Breathe into the areas you feel the pose. Breathe into the areas of the body you want to create space. You want to encourage an opening. Really good. You've got a couple more breaths there. Breathing in, breathing out, holding that position, that shape that you have created, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable. If it's painful, come out. If it's just a challenge to be there, then stick with it. Really good. And then inhale, coming up. Exhale the hands. Come inside that front foot. And you might want to just heel toe that foot out a little bit wider, baby lizard pose. So as we did on the other side, pause here, just in neutral, before we take the other variation, leaning into that lunge, finding the outside edge of that left hip. Welcome to stay here or return to here, otherwise lifting the toes, so coming up onto that front heel, swiveling the foot out to the side, so the side edge of the foot comes down onto the floor. Maybe that's enough, or maybe you begin to turn towards that leg, just gently with the foot flexed, encouraging that leg more out to the side. Really good. Breathing in. As you breathe out, the exhalation is the releasing breath, the relaxing breath. And from here, maybe playing around. So coming back to the center, maybe you come down a little bit lower. Maybe you decide to walk away from that leg, turn away the other side. Really good. You've got 5 breaths. Breathing in, that's about 30 seconds. Breathing out, depending on how slow you breathe. Making space all around each hip joint, each hip pocket. Then finding your way to center with the hands and the body, bringing that foot parallel, maybe heel toe it in and send the hips back. That should feel really nice. Propping as you need to get into the back of this leg. You might have the hands on the blocks. You might keep a bend in the knee. You might be folding more forwards over the leg if you have room. Just a few breaths here. Think about that left thigh and think about pulling the left thigh back up into the left hip. Keeping that alignment, keeping the hips square. Face is relaxed, jaw is relaxed. And then in your own time, releasing that pose, leaning forward, stepping the foot back. So it's your choice, child's pose or downward dog or any neutral position, maybe just sitting, legs out in front of you, shaking the legs out. Any neutral position. take a pause, observe the left side, observe the right side. And we're going to continue on into the glutes. So really doing quite a lot of stretching into the glutes, because I would imagine during the week you do quite a lot of strengthening the glutes. Okay, if not, don't worry about it. It's still good to stretch them. So we're going to come into deer pose, and then if this pose doesn't work for you, I'll give you other options, so you can just let me know. So we'll start, actually, sorry, the other leg, with the left leg forwards. So if you have a yoga mat there, the front of the mat will be square to your shin and the side of the mat will be square to the thigh. If you're really leaning over a lot, you need to sit up on some books or cushions to help the body come more upright. This back leg could be really close to the knee, to the foot even, or it can be really far back. You're always sitting on this hip. So where this leg is, it's really just to find the best way into your glute without compressing this joint, okay, without feeling a pinching. And then you're coming forwards. And I'm going to leave it to you to decide where. Maybe you're more over here. Maybe you're more in the center. Maybe you're more over here. Which gets best around the back and the side of the hip and the thigh. And so then, yeah, give me a wave if that doesn't work for you. Lovely. Because you can, obviously, to get into this same area, do pigeon pose, the piriformis stretch. But when we hold it for a longer time, like a few minutes, the piriformis stretch can be not very helpful for sensitive knees. That's why I prefer teaching this one. Really good. So your body is folding forwards over that front leg. You are noticing how it feels to be there. Noticing whether more intense, maybe even less intense as you hold a pose. Maybe the body is opening up nice and easily. Really good. So you're halfway through. There's really no need to adjust your position or do anything. You might just simply find that your body comes closer and closer towards the floor as we hold the pose. You could prop with things under the head to get that nice gentle pressure on your forehead with cushions or blocks. That can feel really nice. Makes it a little bit more restorative. You have one more minute there. Know that you are in control of the pose. So if it is becoming quite intense, simply lift your body a little bit higher up, take it away from the floor. And the idea in these long holds is that we can maintain the shape, some variation of the shape, and stay for the whole time without needing to come out. Really good. You're going to count 5 breaths. Whenever you finish those 5 breaths, you can gently find your way back up to seated, leaning onto that hip, that left hip, bringing the right leg forward. So maybe just leaning back, letting the legs extend. Feeling the rebound, feeling the sensations, maybe the warmth as we Release the compression on that side. And then bending your knees, so feet are quite wide, and just beginning to windscreen right the legs, rolling that hip inwards. It's really exaggerating the one on the left, letting that knee roll in, maybe holding it for a couple of breaths, breathing in, breathing out, or continue to move if that feels better for you. And so then when you're ready, we come into the other side. So the right leg is in front, finding that nice right angle. Other leg set whereabouts you need to be. You can always come up and adjust it, you know, especially, I mean, a few of you have probably done this pose quite a few times now, so you'll probably know where your just right position is. But if it's the first maybe 2 or 3 times you've done it, you're still working out where is the best place for each leg to be, my body to be, to get best into my stuff, into the tightness of the legs. And once you're there, you can fold over the legs. Scan your body, noticing all the little pockets of sensation. Send the breath into those areas. And you've got 2 more minutes there. Your body starts to really feel even the deepest sensations around the target area. Maybe just close to the target area. As you exhale, maybe feeling the moments where the body starts to let go. Feeling your body folding more and more down towards the floor. You have 1 more minute there. So just as you did on the other side, slowly finding your way back up, leaning over to that hip you've been sat on, releasing the legs, leaning back. You can either keep the legs still or gently move the legs, get that blood flowing again down to the toes. Bending the knees and then beginning to rock the knees side to side again. Our focus is that right leg, rolling the right knee in. You might stay there or you can continue to move the legs. It's completely up to you. Whatever feels best to counterpose that external rotation. I'm going to give you a few more options for the next area. We're getting into the inner thighs and the groin. So I'll show you the one that, if you're not sure, do this one, because I find it personally effective for a lot of people. It's quite intense though, so if you think I'd rather something a little bit more gentle, maybe you've got more sensitive inner thighs, then take one of the other options. Don't feel like you have to do this one. So frog pose, and You don't necessarily have to have a bolster, but to make it less intense, if you can get something to support you underneath the body, it takes some of the weight of your body, and so it's not quite as bad, okay? And it is quite bad. I'll be honest, coming out, it's quite emotional. So take the knees out to the side, and you're just taking them as wide apart as you need to feel the inner thighs. Where do the feet go? Where do the hips go? Well, whatever angle the legs need to be, or your hips need to be, forwards or back, to get best into your inner thighs. And then the elbows can come down, you know, rolling down to the floor. However, nicer positions that will still get into the inner thighs, feet together, knees out to the side. This one, you can do this against the wall as well. That's lovely as well. Okay, so you could do it lying down. You probably want cushions under both of the knees, I would imagine, unless the floor's really soft, or maybe you've just got tough knees. Everyone's bones are a little bit, have different sensitivities in the joints. Really good. So I've started the timer. We're going to go for at least 3 minutes. Let's see if we can get to 4. And so, as with any of the poses, make sure you haven't gone in at 100%, okay? Feel the target area, feel that sensation, but about 50% maximum. You can just feel that stretch through the inner thighs. Really important when we open the inner thighs, we're not feeling a pulling in the knee. So if you do come out of the pose, I can help adjust the pose. And so hopefully by now you've had a minute, you've found that just right position where you can stay and you can observe. And yin is a meditative practice. We're practicing meditation or mindfulness, awareness, being present, whatever you want to label it as, in all these poses. And it's that noticing and paying attention, which is why it feels so good when we lie down at the end. Because for an hour, we've been just turning off some of the chatter from the mind, hopefully becoming less distracted by all the noise, all the random thoughts that the mind has been throwing at us. Really good. You've had just under 2 minutes. As you hold that position, knowing that you can always adjust the pose, you can always move deeper in, you can always back out, you're in control of how much you feel in the body. You're also aware if the tension just moves somewhere else. As you hold the pose, as those sensations get stronger, do you begin to clench the teeth or the jaw? Do you scrunch up the face? Maybe you hunch the shoulders. Maybe you do none of those. It's fine. You're just noticing if the tension just sneaks off somewhere else. So you've had just over 3 minutes, and so you're welcome to come out now if you want. Otherwise, 40 seconds will take us to 4 minutes. And you could hold it longer. You know, if this is a useful pose, if you find it useful to get into your hips, any of these poses that we do on the legs and the hips, you can hold them for 10 minutes each side if you want. You know, you can be curious, you can experiment on the legs. How does it feel to hold them even longer? Really good. 10 seconds to go. Slow, relaxed breaths carrying you to the end of the pose. And so wherever you've been, so if you're lying down, hands to the knees to close the legs. If you're in frog, knees out to the side, just gently help yourself out. You're going to lie on your front or lie on your back, and we're going to give ourselves at least a minute to just allow the hips to settle from that. So preferably you just lie still and observe that target area that we've been working on. But if you feel you need to move, that's okay. This pause, this mini rest after the pose, it's a rebound. It's a chance to really notice what was happening in the body, what continued to happen when you came out of the pose. So we're going to finish with a lovely long hold in cat pulling its tail. This is a supine twist. I'd say most people can hold the foot, but a band can be helpful if you can't reach the foot. So I'll show you how to come into it. So you're going to lie on your side. Let's say lie on your left side, relaxing cat. And the tail leg is the bottom leg. So you reach back to hold the foot. So if you can't hold the foot, you can put a band on the leg. It's a little bit difficult. This is when it's better to be sort of in person, and then you can find the band on your foot. Just be careful of your knee and your back when you take the band. Okay, so you're holding on to that foot, and to set the pose, you're pulling that tail leg out behind you. So you're trying to move that leg back. So it brings you into a little bit of a back bend. You can feel the hip flexor, the quad area of that leg. You might stay here. Oh, I forgot to say, sorry, cushions and props, maybe a prop for your head, maybe a prop for under this knee. This leg, the knee, is coming up towards your body. So it's coming up, and then you might feel the glute. And eventually, if your leg is more open, you can take the foot with that other hand, okay, lying down. So you could be here, you could just lie down, wherever you need to go. So you're going to feel it in a lot of places. Where you don't want to feel discomfort is knee and lower back always. So if you come into it and you think, doesn't feel right, not sure, wave at me or come out, and we can adjust the position. It should feel quite comfortable, really. So we'll start the timer. We're going to go for 5 minutes each side. Close the eyes, which might seem like a long time, but if you found your way into that comfortable position, it should begin to feel really lovely. All the poses that we do can be done as standalone poses. That's the beauty of the yin practice. I might have said it before, you don't need to do a warm up to do these postures. Actually, that is what yin is. It's stretching a cold body, so not trying to warm up all the muscles. And that's why we get into the yin tissues. We get into the ligaments, the tendons, the joints, the connective tissue, the fascia, rather than just stretching into the muscle. So I'll sometimes give you like the name of a muscle, but really it's just that's kind of the area. It's not that muscle. You might think, do we want to stretch the joints or the tendons? And we're not stretching the tendons and ligaments. Actually, what we're doing with the ligaments is actually putting some stress on them to strengthen them. And by compressing joints, by creating traction around them, we're encouraging the flow of fluid, hyaluronic acid around the cells, around the tissues in the body. So you're just encouraging that movement of fluid. Really, movement is what we want. Movement, tissue over tissue, fascia over muscle, fascia over bone, or ligament or tendon. So that moving to get rid of the fuzz. It's a really great video, you might have seen it on YouTube, called The Fuzz, with Dr. Headley, Dr. Jill Headley. He's in a lab coat. If you're squeamish, don't watch it. It's like a cadaver he's using. But it shows you the fuzz that builds up around your tissues overnight, this fuzz that then in the morning, that's why we feel all stiff, and you take a big stretch and begin to melt away that fuzz. And so if you don't use your body, if you don't take the wrists through all their range of motion, the shoulders, your hips, the legs, then they will become tighter and tighter and tighter, because that fuzz is going to get thicker and thicker and thicker and harder to melt away, to the point maybe then you need to get someone to stick their thumb or their elbow into it to release it. So you've had nearly 3 minutes there. And as we come towards the end of the practice, you're welcome to let go of the breath. You can simply allow the body to breathe itself. You might notice the breath coming in, going out. And so you could stay exactly as you are, or for the last minute. If you want to create more sensation, maybe you encourage the tail leg more out behind you. Maybe you're pulling that heel, that foot more into your body. Be careful of the knee if you're pulling the heel into the body. Enjoying these last few moments here. Enjoying stillness, enjoying rest. Now, we've been here for a while, so you want to come out really slow. First thing you'll do is let go of the tail, the foot. Then maybe helping the other leg back and eventually finding your way onto the back. Close your eyes, and it might take a while to come out. That's okay. You know, you might feel a little bit sensitive in any of the joints we've been working on, which was really all of them to some extent. So pausing to observe. And then when you feel ready, you can roll onto that other side. So if you know where you're going or you want to listen, then that's fine. You can roll away from me. So you're rolling onto that that left side. You've got the left and right, so muddle up onto the other side. And then taking that bottom foot underneath, holding the foot, bringing the top leg up towards you, and pull that tail leg out behind. I mean, if it doesn't go anymore, that's fine. Leave it there. You could stay supported by your hand. You could lie down, head on cushions or on the floor, just making sure your neck is comfortable. It's really important. And beginning in comfort, begin in a comfortable position, and using cushions or props to get there. If you've come into this side, it's just not working for you, then give me a wave or come out of the pose and I'll help you to modify it or prop the pose. And as you do settle into the pose, scanning all through your body, take your time. Take your time to acknowledge where you feel the pose, all the many places that you might feel this pose. Noticing your breath. So your attention, all your awareness, always gazing inwards, either to the body, the feeling body, or to the body breathing itself, that movement of air effortlessly in and all around your body. You're halfway through. And as we come to the end of the practice, hopefully enjoying the stillness and the quiet a little more. Finding it easier to remain present, remain in the now. This is a reading on mindfulness by John Kabat-Zinn. When it comes right down to it, the challenge of mindfulness is to realize that this is it. Right now is my life. The question is, what is my relationship going to be? Does my life just automatically happen to me? Am I a total prisoner of my circumstances or my obligations, my body, my illness, my history? Do I become hostile or defensive or depressed if certain buttons get pushed, happy if other buttons are pushed, or frightened if something else happens? What are my choices? Do I have any options? It is an important point. The important point is to grasp the value of bringing the practice of mindfulness into the conduct of our daily lives. Is there any waking moment of your life that would not be richer and more alive for you if you were more fully awake while it was happening? So you can let go of the tail, your foot. Let go of the foot and very gently begin releasing the pose. Coming into your final relaxation, lying down on your back. Anywhere that's comfortable, maybe the knees stay bent. Gently close the eyes. Close the eyes and feel the back of your body on the earth. Feel that support beneath you and simply let go of the weight of your body. Let go of the breath, the body and the mind, and drift more deeply down, further down into a deeply relaxed state. Now, if you have time and you want to stay there, then please just stay there a little longer. Otherwise, beginning to deepen your breath. Deepen your breath and just very slowly moving the fingers and the toes. Take your time, maybe stretching the arms over the head. Any movements that feel good to very gently bring your body out of Shavasana, the relaxation, over to one side. And eventually up to a seated position on the mat, just sitting up tall, eyes closed, spine is long. Inhale, sweep those arms up above the head, palms touch. Exhaling, thumbs to crown, to forehead, and then hands down towards the floor. You can open your eyes. And thank you all for joining me this morning. Just stop